What's going on, Pokemon Go trainers? Welcome to episode 38 of the LuredUp podcast creator series, bringing your favorite content creators to talk about their work, process, and the game that brings it all together, Pokemon Go. And we are part of the LuredUp, is part of the Pokemon Professor Network. Today's October 18th, 2022. I'm your host, Ken Pescatore, and this week I'm very excited to be joined for the fourth time on the show by Pokemon Master Holly. Holly, what's up? Welcome to the show. How are you?
Thank you for having me. It's so nice to be back. I can't believe I've been on here for 4 times. That's insane.
You're the first 4-peat. We've had a couple people on 3 times. You're the first 4 times. So that's
honored.
Awesome.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me on the show. And,
how you been?
I'm good. I'm doing good. I'm so glad that like lockdown is over, right? Because the last time I talked to you was 2020, right?
2020.
So,
yep.
Wow, these past 2 years have been a whirlwind, right, of craziness. So yeah, how are you doing?
I'm doing well. Just the train rolls on, so we're just keeping the grind alive. That's really all it is. And
that's true.
Yep. Spin, catch, transfer, rinse, repeat.
Right. Yep. Sleep, repeat. Yep.
Exactly. So why don't you take a moment, since it's been 2 years since you've been on the show, why don't you take a moment, just introduce yourself. We might have some new listeners that aren't familiar with your work. So tell us a little bit about yourself, about your channel, and then we'll kind of dig into how you've been over the past couple of years.
Awesome. Okay. Well, first of all, if I haven't met you yet, hello, my name is Holly. I go by Pokemon Master Holly, but I abbreviate it PKMNMasterHolly on all my socials. So I've been playing Pokemon Go since the day after it came out. I started on 7/7/2016, and I've been playing pretty much every single day since then. I have taken social media breaks during, from 2016 to now 2022. And I took YouTube breaks and so forth for like mental health and things. But even during those social media breaks, I was still playing the game every single day. So I fell in love with Pokemon Go, like the game itself, and the gameplay and everything like that before I even started doing anything on social media for it. So, I started playing in 2016, like I said, but then I didn't start my YouTube channel until the first ever raid boss was introduced, Tyranitar raids. So my first ever video on YouTube was actually in 2017 with a Tyranitar raid. First video is me in a raid group with everybody just going like this. So, it's been a wild ride because it's been 5 years since then. So that's, 5 years of doing YouTube. And I've been working on all my social medias, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and now I have Twitch and OnlyFans. So lots of development, not only as a business, but me as a person, and a lot of moving as well. And obviously I love the game just as much as I did back in 2016, even more so, honestly. So it's a great game.
That's awesome. But you were a Pokemon fan prior to the release of Go, though, right? Like this was kind of in your blood. Like, I remember you talking about the early days of the main series games and all that stuff, and just, kind of falling in love with that. And I know you had a relationship with the TCG, which I definitely want to get into,
yes.
Talk about your new content and all that good stuff. But as we just kind of reintroduce yourself to the LuredUp community here, what's your favorite Pokemon? Why is it your favorite Pokemon? And has that ever changed? Because I know that could be a loaded question sometimes, because I've changed over the years. I kind of flip-flop between Geodude and Magikarp, so like it goes back and forth. So it's, what about you? Has it stayed the same since the beginning, or where are you at now with it?
Okay, so my favorite Pokemon is Flareon. I'm an Evolution fan. Like, I love all of the Evolutions so much. But Flareon has just been my favorite in Gen 1, and like I'm one of those like hardcore Gen 1 fans that like every time Gen 1 is like put in the spotlight, I'm like, yeah. So, being that I love the Evolutions, and like Jolteon, Vaporeon, and Flareon were like my favorites out of Gen 1. I also love fire types the most. So Flareon was just like,
it's the best type.
It's a great type, right? So
for sure.
Yeah. So I've just kind of stuck with Flareon. I just think it's equally cute as it is powerful, because it is a very powerful Pokemon. And before we started getting legendaries, it was very meta relevant. Like Vaporeon used to be meta relevant too before we got like all these Kyogres and stuff. So epic Pokemon, cute Pokemon, and I just feel like honestly, like if well, yeah, like if I could have any Pokemon as my pet, I would want Flareon, like, because I love cats, and I feel like he's kind of like a fox cat thing.
What did you think of that scene in Detective Pikachu? Did you like freak out during that like evolution scene?
Yes, that was so cool. Yeah, when the Eevee like touched the stone on the desk or whatever, and it evolved.
Yeah, it was super cool.
Yeah.
Nice. All right, cool. And how did you get your start in content? Because I know for a lot of people that we've had on the show, kind of the love for Pokemon Go, right, and the obsession and beginning to play the game kind of started to scale and grow with the creator as they said, like, let me just mess around, let me make a video, or let me, record this. And then as they got more kind of the lifestyle and the culture of Pokemon Go gets intertwined in their life, the culture of creating content around it gets intertwined in their life. So as you started like falling in love with the game and then creating content, like how did that smash into each other to one day go from kind of messing around or not filming at all to, all right, now I'm going to be making content consistently around this game?
Okay. So, it's funny because like growing up, I guess like in high school, I really wanted to be a YouTuber. Like I always wanted to be a YouTuber. I started off watching Jenna Marbles. She was hilarious. Yeah. And that inspired me, but I could never figure out like what was my thing, like what was my calling? Because obviously in order to be a YouTuber, you have to be passionate about something. And, like for you've got the podcast and you have your strengths in interviewing people and so forth. But for me, I didn't know what it was. Like I knew I liked Pokemon, but I didn't know like I didn't know. So, right. But then when Pokemon Go came out, it clicked. I was like, oh my gosh, like this is the thing. Like I love being outside. I love adventuring. I love meeting people. And I was in college at the time studying psychology. So I was like, oh my gosh, I can like actually use my degree and like get to know people and like try to foster communities and stuff. And like, maybe I can, help even more people than I could just sitting in a therapy office and like just going one by one. Like maybe I can help communities instead of just a couple of people. Right. And that's what I'm still trying to do. It's turned out to be way harder than I thought, but it's a challenge that I like doing. And I like trying to build these communities, and it's definitely a challenge because everybody's so different here that plays Pokemon Go. We all came from so many different backgrounds. Which I wasn't expecting, honestly, because I, like you said, coming from just the regular Pokemon community, it was very like, it's a very just like, okay, you probably like to be at home, so you might be introverted. You love playing video games like on the console, right? Or your Game Boy. You like battling the cards and stuff. But like Pokemon Go's backgrounds are so different. Like there's people who like, there's like, 70-year-olds who are doing it as a retirement thing. And then there's like babies who like haven't even had, a cell phone, and they're playing on like their iPad. And it's like, oh my gosh, all these people like, it's incredible. But basically it in 2017, when I started raiding with people, and I got to know the local Philadelphia community. I was in Philly at the time. And I told them like I had an interest in YouTube, and I was like, I was really dragging my feet. I was like, I didn't believe in myself. I didn't think like anybody would care to watch me or anything like that. So
that first video is the toughest, right? The first
video is the toughest. And that's what I would say to anybody who wants to do YouTube is you just got to do it. Okay. Don't overthink it. You just got to rip the Band-Aid off and do it, because I seriously, like, I keep kicking myself for not starting in 2016, because if you look at the YouTubers who did start in 2016, they went insane, exponential. But I dragged my feet all the way until 2017 when raids came out. And then my community really got behind me and were like, no, like you should make videos like this. Yes, like your stuff. You love Pokemon. I have played all of the games. Like I've been playing since I was 7 years old. Diehard fan. Like, yes, do it. So that's when I went all in, and I just started to do as much content as I could. And I graduated college at that time, and basically after I was out of school, I was like, okay, I'm doing this full time. Like I gotta full send it, So that's when I started making content, just almost like not daily, but as often as I could. And basically, like you said, it's just kind of like grown into this like snowball of momentum where it's like, okay, like I've tried to take breaks from making YouTube videos, and I'm now at the point where the community won't even like let me take a break. Like I get emails and it's like, you better come back. Like we miss you. And it's like, oh my gosh, like there's no stopping it now. Like this train is like full blast. Like there's no stopping.
That's the best part of it, is because that, it's difficult to create content consistently. And when you don't have the drive and the support that you could do yourself, sometimes all it takes is a little encouragement from the community and from the outside. So it's always nice to like get that kind of like, just push a little bit off the cliff. Yeah. You know what I mean? Just enough to get it going. And that's a good feeling. Now go back to 2017 and you're creating videos, and, I'm thinking back to like your 24-hour stream back in the day, like on the streets of Philly. It was nuts. You were insane for that.
That was crazy.
That was so nuts. I was just like, she's been on a bike for like 12 hours. But when you were creating in 17, right, what were your goals then, and how do they compare to the goals now when it comes to the actual process of making a video? Like, what were you trying to accomplish, and how would you measure success then versus, doing this now 5-6 years?
Yeah. So I guess in 2017, my first goal was just like to see if like anything stuck. Like, first of all, like, because I still had so much self-doubt and like I had self-esteem issues and all that. And I really didn't think anybody was going to watch me. Like, honestly, shout out to the Philadelphia community that like helped me in the beginning, because if it wasn't for them, like you said, like giving me a boost and like believing in me and like kicking me in the butt, I literally wouldn't have started YouTube. So like it basically in 2017, my goal was just like find the community, like figure out like, do people even like me? Like, do people even care to watch? Like, is this even a reliable source of something that I can build, like, is this going to be a stable foundation that's even worth putting time into? Because since I had just graduated college, it was like, okay, I need to find a job. You got to
do something, right?
Yeah, I got to do something. So like, I either need to make this work or not. So I had to figure out real quick. And it started to work. It started to work, and people followed and subscribed. So thank you, everybody, all my day ones. And, after that, basically it started to be, the traditional first ever YouTube milestone, which is 100,000 subscribers. Because the first ever YouTube trophy you can get as a YouTuber is 100K, the subscriber plaque, the silver one.
Right. Sure.
So that was the next goal, is just like, well, let's just see if we can get there. And we did. Yeah, I think sick. I got there at the end of like 2018. So insane.
Yeah, that's wild. And when if someone were to see a piece of your content today on YouTube, your Pokemon Go content, what do you hope they take away from it? Like, what do you try to convey? Do you have like a specific vibe or messaging, or, kind of, is there any takeaway that you like to try to push out there energy wise, I guess?
Oh yeah, 100%. I mean, the number one thing that I just hope like anyone takes away, even if they don't even play Pokemon Go, like if somebody just happens to fall across my video on YouTube and they don't even play the game, I just want them to feel happiness, like feel like positive vibes, positivity, good things, like just feel a sense of happy waves rolling through them. Like, because you don't necessarily have to play Pokemon Go to enjoy Pokemon Go content, It's
sure.
Like,
yeah.
Like you could come across any YouTuber that you don't even know online and watch their video. And as long as they're like giving out positive vibes, like you feel good watching them. So that's the number one goal.
Yeah, that's all. And I think Pokemon Go kind of like served that up for a lot of creators, because it was the first time that there could be a game that you could have really in-depth game coverage and game footage combined with vlogging. It wasn't like behind the desk kind of editorial or newsy looking thing where you're more of a stream setting. It was out and about, almost like lifestyle or, just kind of like IRL vlogging. And then all of a sudden there's gameplay mashed in, and you're like, wait, this is something completely different that requires a whole different set of like social skills to be able to create content around. And that's when you really saw the difference in the content, because you're like, oh wait, this is kind of a travel vlog, or this is kind of like a foodie thing, or this is kind of, this weird, community get together thing, but wait, this is a Pokemon Go video, right? Like that's what made the content so intriguing, especially in those early years, because it was so different. There was, it's like, this feels like a Casey Neistat video, but why am I like, it's all about Pokemon with them listening to chiptune music over it, like it was a very interesting way that the game was able to have its content put out, initially, because it didn't start on streaming. It started with this vlog-esque kind of thing. So that was a really cool kind of introduction. But your content mix has changed so much over the years. And you were kind of like really at the forefront, like when Let's Go came out. I remember seeing like a ton of Let's Go content, and then a lot of people moved over to Let's Go. So how is that kind of, I guess it's like this, a lot of creators then became and morphed into like this Pokemon variety streamer kind of creator. And so how has that been? Because usually YouTube is pretty one track, right? You have to create content for a very specific audience and a specific topic and shot in a specific way. And then if you deviate from that, it could cause a rift in your audience, right? So, but you were able to navigate like the different games and these different audiences, because I don't necessarily think that 100% of the Pigo community was a Let's Go watcher. You know what I mean? Like they weren't consuming Let's Go content. So like what was that like, I guess, going back to when Let's Go came out, kind of navigating through this content mix between the games, and then I guess ultimately culminating with the TCG, because I see you so much like with pictures with the TCG lately. So how has that kind of mix been, and how have you juggled the platforms to be able to kind of like hit each of these different like Pokemon tent poles, but you have all these different platforms that you're able to do it? Like what's that kind of mix like, creating in that kind of that spread out way?
Absolutely. Well, it's kind of sneaky, but if you actually pay attention to what Niantic and the Pokemon Company does during the release of these games, they actually intertwine Pokemon Go with like every single game release that has come out since Pokemon Go has come out. Like Let's Go came out, and then they had the Meltan box, and also they had the Pokeball Plus, which you could use in Pokemon Go, and it had a Mew inside of it for the Let's Go game, not for Pokemon Go. But like these integrations, like even though small, was something that the Pokemon Go audience, like, a lot of them didn't even have a Nintendo Switch. So it was like their first time buying a Nintendo Switch, and like they needed help. They were like, how do I play the Switch? Like, is it worth it? Like, is the Meltan box worth it? Is the Pokeball Plus worth it? And like all of these are Pokemon Go questions that you could only answer if you had Let's Go. So that was like the gateway into it. And it's been like the same thing with like Sword and Shield, and like they've been brilliant with Sun and Moon, doing all the Alola integration, like with Executor everywhere. And like, I'm sure that like once the new game Scarlet and Violet comes out, there's no way they're not going to do something in Pokemon Go. They're definitely
for sure. And there's subtle cues too. Like even with the TCG, like when the baby Pokemon came out in Pokemon Go, it was kind of the time when like GX Pokemon were being released in the TCG, and they came out with like this promo video that featured the baby Pokemon for no reason, like just for like 2 seconds. But it's like, I just caught an Igglybuff in Pokemon Go, and I'm excited about it because it's fresh in that game. And now I'm seeing it in the TCG commercial, and it's like, yeah, they're onto something. They do connect the dots very subtly, where, you have all these kind of parallel universes of paths of Pokemon stuff, whether it's the main series or TCG or a offshoot or Pigo, and they all kind of have these running this highway, right? These parallel lanes of whether you know it or not. And it's like, sometimes you'll be like, why are they featuring this Pokemon right now? And it's like, oh, there's a main series game release, and it's in the key art or something like that. It's like, they're very they do a lot behind the scenes that, it kind of makes you think a little bit, and you're like, oh yeah, that makes sense. Like even when like the Zarude movie came out,
I was
like
just thinking that,
like that it got like the timelines got all messed up, and it's like, why are they releasing Zarude in Pokemon Go? And it's like, oh, the movie was supposed to come out in America this week, and it's like, there's all these moving parts, so that's always a fun thing.
And we got Shiny Celebi, which was weird because I don't think we had.
Yeah, that was like that was like
before Shiny Mew, Or no, that was just after Shiny Mew, right? I can't remember.
The Celebi?
The Shiny Celebi. Because I remember thinking it was like out of order or something. I was like, that's weird. Maybe
it was out of order. I don't know.
I think I can't remember, but either way, but yeah, they tie in the movies, they tie in the TCG. Yep. It's all very sneakily planned out. Like whatever Niantic and the Pokemon Company has planned, they've already got this planned out probably like 5 years in advance.
Oh, for sure. The roadmap is massive. But
yeah,
is YouTube still like your hub base for like Pokemon content? Like is YouTube pretty much still what you're calling home, or?
For sure. I mean, like I've said, I've been doing YouTube for like 5 years now, and I've also been dabbling in like a bunch of other platforms like Twitch, but without a doubt, like YouTube has the highest discoverability. I guess because Google owns YouTube. So like if you Google Pokemon Master Holly, like all the YouTube stuff is going to come up first. Like, and that's just true for like anybody that you Google. Like if you have anything on YouTube and you Google a person who has a YouTube video or was like featured in a YouTube video, like it's going to show up first.
Sure. Yeah.
And and Twitch doesn't even appear like anywhere. Is it even on like the front page of Google? Like, no. So, so YouTube is definitely the home base. And simply also because like, I'm always asking my followers, like, hey, where do you guys want me to stream? Like, where do you guys want me to go? And without a doubt, like every single time consistently over the past like 2 years, the answer has been loud and clear. It's YouTube. People just, they're comfortable with YouTube. They're used to it. And I guess they just don't want to branch out onto Twitch or TikTok or anything else.
Yeah. Yeah. And how does the TCG content fit into all this? And like, what's your relationship with the cards now? Are you just like buying stuff and opening it on camera? Or I mean, like what, kind of how deep are you down the rabbit hole here?
Oh, we're deep. I mean, so I first started collecting the trading cards with the original set that came out, the base set. So like I have one of the original Charizards. It's not Shadowless, but it's one of those. And like then I went into like Fossil, Jungle. Like I started collecting all those trading cards in the beginning when I was like in elementary school. And I still have all of those, by the way. But then like I think in like middle school and high school, I didn't have the money to just be pouring into the cards. So I kind of took a break from that. But, and then when I got older, I out of school, I was just kind of like, man, like I remembered how addicting it was to open packs. So I was kind of like, just don't start it, because like once you start, like you really can't stop. It's just,
no, it's bad. It's a sickness.
It's a sickness. It's a sickness. But like if you have the money to pay for it, then it's kind of like, pick your poison, because you could pour money into anything, right? Drugs, alcohol. Like I'm gonna do it in Pokemon cards. So.
Yeah, cardboard. I'll take the cardboard.
Right. So, and I mean, plus, here's the best part about Pokemon cards is that maybe like there's like a slim chance, but just maybe you might be able to flip the cards for money in the future. But of course, hardcore collectors are just doing it just to keep them for yourself, like I do. But that's obviously, if you have duplicates, then you can sell stuff in the future, right?
Yeah. For me with the TCG, like, I play the actual game. So I'm hunting cards with that mindset, but just the process of opening is the happy part for me. Like,
yes.
Like even if nothing exciting happens, just like the tactile feel of tearing the pack and smelling the cards, like it's a weird, visceral feeling of just that experience. So like, that's just my favorite part. So it's like, regardless of what cards there are, just the process of being able to rip into a pack, especially if you have like a bunch of packs, you could go into like this like shark feeding frenzy kind of thing where it's just like wrappers flying everywhere. And there's like, the whole floor is covered in like, cellophane and everything. But does the Pigo audience kind of cross over to the TCG, and how did the release of the Pokemon Go TCG expansion kind of help? I don't know. It like caused this explosion of TCG content, because you had, just like Let's Go kind of opened up console gaming to the Pigo world. The Pokemon Go expansion was just like, I heard so many people be like, I'll buy Pokemon cards for the first time. And that's because it was a Pokemon Go crossover. So are you seeing the same audiences crossover? Or are you building like a TCG specific audience? Like how has that been with developing that?
So, it's just like we were talking about, like with Let's Go. they are masterminds with this crossover stuff, because I seriously have some Pokemon Go cards like right in front of me. Look, holographic Meltan
Nice.
or Melmetal. And it's like, again, this is a Pokemon Go specific Pokemon. So like, you know, only TCG collectors who really have a connection with Pokemon Go or Let's Go are really going to identify with this. So it's genius because these cards are, they're meant for the Pokemon Go audience. And I just, that's just genius to me. And of course, like, obviously the Pokemon Go audience is immediately taken to it because we have the team leaders, Blanche, Candela, and Spark are like featured in these cards. And all of these are like, the artwork of them is like heavily focused on, just the Pokemon Go style. And like there's Radiant, which is like shiny Pokemon. And I actually just did a 2-hour live stream where we opened up 3 of the Eevee sets that have like 8 packs in them.
Nice.
And people loved it because it's just, it's great. I mean, it's almost like, I'll liken it to like, you know how like somebody can show you a screenshot of like a shiny in their collection and they're like, look what I got. And it's like, that's cool. But like, if you were watching a live stream of somebody hunt that shiny and you saw them react to seeing the sparkles,
sure.
And it's like, it's way more like, oh my God. It's the same thing with opening packs. Like, I could just show you like, look, I got a Melmetal VMAX. It's like, cool. But like, if you saw me open the pack and go like, oh my God, it's a Melmetal, then it's like, yeah. So yeah, of course, like Pokemon lovers, we just love rare stuff. That's just our bread and butter. We love rare things. We love shiny things. And that's what happens in Pokemon cards is you get rare things. So it's fun. Oh,
you get a little like dopamine hit of happiness with every time. It's like you get that thrill, that little anxiety, you know, before you pull the last card out, you know, you're like, you get that weird, like tense feeling. No, it's a blast. I love watching unboxings. That's like, you see kids that are like so enthralled by like toy unboxings from like 3 years old, and it's like, you know, here I am 4 decades later, I'm like, open it, yeah, like it's like I get glued to the screen. It's so funny. I love watching high volume openings. It's a blast. It's a lot of fun. Interesting. But how is your you know, just like looking at your background right now and the quality of your lighting, cameras, like all these creators have been doing this for so long. It's awesome to see how the fidelity of their content has just grown, and the quality is just it's impeccable. Now you get these beautiful lighting and great cameras and great audio and all this cool stuff. So how is that kind of process? What's that process like for you? Because you're doing a combination of, you know, produced video content on YouTube and some stuff on Twitch or live streaming. Like, what's that recording process like? How do you prepare for a piece of content like that 2-hour stream that you did? You kind of fly by the seat of your pants, or is there kind of more of a blocking or a storyboard kind of ideas when you prep for a video?
Well, thank you for complimenting the setup. It's this whole setup, like you said, like it's been a building process. Like I didn't just start out with like this camera that I'm talking to you on, or like this microphone that I'm using, which is like the HyperX. It's so beautiful. But you know, in the beginning, I didn't know. I never took any like videography classes or anything like that. So I just went on Amazon and I saw this YouTuber kit, and it was just like a camera that had like a little tripod and like a lens wiper and like an air puffer thing and like a case. And I was like, well, I gotta start somewhere. And I'm sure that's still on Amazon if anybody's thinking about starting YouTube, but you can just go and buy that kit. And that's what got me started. And so eventually, though, sad to say, one day I set that camera down and I was collaborating with another YouTuber, and we were both, it was DX1. We were in Philadelphia, and we were catching his Mew. So like I was filming him while he was catching it. And obviously it was like the release day of Mew. So it was like super exciting and crazy. And I set my camera behind me in my backpack, and we turned around, it was gone. So somebody stole my first ever camera. So at that point I was like, well, you know, I could sit around and boo-boo all day, or I can go get another camera, right? And so shout out to the community, because the community actually sent me money to go get another camera because they're so expensive. So thank you, community. So then I ended up with a Sony A6000. That's what you're actually looking at me at now on. And I'm using the I'm using the Elgato 4K video capture to stream. So this is not a webcam, which
Right.
was an upgrade itself. And I had to upgrade that when I started streaming on Twitch. Because I started streaming on Twitch with a webcam, and I was like, I wanna make sure that like I like stand out. I want to make sure that like people can tell I'm putting like a lot into it, right? So I made sure that I went like with the professional camera, the professional capture card, and then I'm actually surrounded by like 3 ring lights, so I had to get the good lighting, had to get the good microphone, just all kinds of stuff. And then I had to upgrade. Like this is another camera that I ended up buying because after I started streaming on Twitch, I had to have this camera set up as the webcam. And then if I want to go vlog, I had to get another camera to go vlog because I didn't want to disconnect that every time. So this is a Sony A65. No, wait, what is this one? It's another A6000 series. And I got a sicker lens on it. So this was an upgrade. And then I got this new microphone with this windsock. This is a windsock to keep down the to help muffle noise outside. And this was all an upgrade. And like this tripod is an upgrade. The bumpy one, like that you can like twist the legs.
The Gorilla Grip one.
The Gorilla one, that one actually sucks. Like that one actually sucks.
I remember everybody had that.
Everybody had it. Yeah, but that's because they were cheap. They were cheap. But like what no one knew is that after bending it so many times, it loses its ability to like stay. So like I would like set it up and it would just be like slowly. So I've learned, that's another learning thing. Like all of this is just a learning process of like what looks the best, what sounds the best. Like you need to have a wind thing on. Like that took me a long time to figure out. Just all of this is a learning process, and anybody can learn it. It's just trial and error.
Yeah. And, before I forget, shout to DX1.
Yeah. Shout out to DX1.
DX1 came out to the LuredUp pub crawl in Seattle.
Oh, awesome.
And made it the whole night. There wasn't many people that made it to every stop in the pub crawl. Shout out to DX1, made it the whole night. I think he ended up crashing at like my community's Airbnb that night. It was awesome.
Oh my gosh. That sounds like fun.
Yeah, it was out of control. it was absolutely out of control. It was a blast. It was absolutely insane.
That's so cool.
Yeah, very, very cool. So let's shift gears real quick because your content shifted gears pretty heavy a couple of years ago. And, I remember the last time we had you on in 2020, that was kind of just after like the Team Rocket cosplay thing. And now you're doing a ton of cosplay stuff. Themed, which is very cool. The Jigglypuff one, Thanks. Chef's kiss, fantastic, amazing. Thanks. But how did that was that like a kind of like a precursor to OnlyFans or anything like that? Like was the cosplay kind of a gateway to that? Like how did that kind of transition from Pokemon Go and main series games, YouTube and Twitch content to that?
Yeah, so I mean, like I've been going to like anime conventions like Otakon in Baltimore and doing cosplay every time for years, like ever since I was a little kid. So like I used to go with my aunt and my cousins and we would all dress up and cosplay together. So I've been doing cosplay since I was a little kid, like in elementary school. And like I was Misty like so many years. But I guess when I started doing Pokemon Go content, I honestly just didn't have time to do cosplay. And I didn't even like think about like how I could fit that in. And I was so busy like hustling and grinding because like everybody thinks YouTubers make a ton of money, but like I'm going to be straight up honest, like back in those days, like I was going like paycheck to paycheck off of YouTube because like YouTube does not make a lot of money. Like you actually make more money from like sponsors and like getting ads and like selling merch and all that stuff. And I wasn't doing really any of that stuff. So I was scraping by. And then in 2019 for Halloween, I got invited to a Halloween party and I dressed up like the Team Rocket Grunt. And it wasn't even that sexy of a costume. It was literally like a long sleeve turtleneck black dress with like thigh high boots. So like the only skin that was showing was like my hands, my face, and like a sliver of thigh. Like I still like, it blows my mind looking back how like everybody was like, oh, they're so sexy. Like, what are you talking about?
I told you what it was in 2020. It was the eyes. I told you had those eyes on you. You were like, yeah, I was like, oh, she's gonna cause a stir with this. It's gonna be crazy.
I guess. I don't know. I mean, when I was taking those pictures, I honestly was thinking like this is gonna be like harmless, like whatever. But like the response was totally not what I was expecting. Like I was not expecting that response. Like, holy crap. So basically what happened was I took a bunch of pictures of myself in the Team Rocket Grunt costume. And I uploaded those to my Patreon page, exclusively to Patreon people. And my Patreon people loved it. They were like, yes, more. But like, I think what happened is like, you know, the game of telephone where like, you start saying something, but like by the time it gets to like the third person, like it's already messed up. The communication's off.
Yeah, it's called Pokemon Go Twitter.
It's called Pokemon Go Twitter, right? So basically, I think the people on my Patreon page must have word must have gotten out that I put pictures up of me in a Team Rocket grunt costume, but somebody along the line must have said it was sexy. And so, like, anybody who wasn't on my Patreon page was like, Holly's doing sexy content, like, whoa! And then somebody else heard that I was doing sexy content, and immediately they were like, Holly's doing porn! And I'm like, oh my God, no! Like, none of this is happening. So, like, I got in a lot of trouble, like, all over the place with people because they were like, you're making porn now! Like, what are you doing? I was like, no, I'm not! So, it turned into this, like, whole thing, and then, like, people were, like, jumping down my throat about like I thought you were kid friendly and all this stuff. I was like, I still am. Like, it doesn't. But the pictures were harmless. They really were.
They really were. You were like very accurate to the in-game grunt. Like you were like spot on, like pixel for pixel. I was just like, she nailed it. The outfit, like I go, it's the exact grunt outfit from the game. I was like, it's in the game. Like
it's literally the game. Like it was not like nowadays I do more like sexy like cosplays, but like that was like literally the 1-for-1 grunt. Like it wasn't like a super mini skirt. It wasn't like a bra. It was like literally the grunt costume. So I don't know. Like you said, I guess it was just the bedroom eyes.
It was for sure because I was like, yeah, here's $2.
But basically, it was like this whole game of telephone happened where people thought that I was making like porn or something. I don't even know. And so, you know, I like, in order to be a Niantic influencer, you have to be family friendly. So I mean, you know, I don't know, honestly, I don't know. Like, I'm just going to kind of like, I honestly don't really know what happened with that, but I couldn't work with Niantic anymore because they were like, you know, XYZ. A lot of stuff happened. I can't really. We've tried to talk about this before, but XYZ still happened. But essentially, it was like I don't fit the Niantic sponsored YouTuber like thing anymore, and so I was on my own. And then lockdown happened in 2020, like which was a couple months after that. So I wasn't sponsored anymore, and I couldn't make my traditional Pokemon Go content, which is all about walking around outside, talking
outdoors,
to people, doing raids with people, outdoor stuff. Like it was all about people. My channel was all about people, and that was gone. So I was really between a rock and a hard place. And also my channel got hacked. So I couldn't even upload YouTube content anymore for the 6 months or something. It was stupid. So basically, I started streaming on Twitch in March because I couldn't make money because I couldn't upload. So I was streaming, and on Twitch, I got this, like, I think at that time also because of lockdown, OnlyFans was exploding because like all these celebrities like Bella Thorne and like Trisha Paytas and like all these people were like, oh, Tana Mojo, like we're doing OnlyFans for the first time ever. And like a lot of women who lost their jobs were doing OnlyFans for the first time ever too. So it was just blowing up. Like it was in the news like every day. It's crazy. So I was like, you know, I started thinking about it. And then when I was streaming, it was just seriously like an onslaught of people constantly asking me like, can you do OnlyFans? Like, please do OnlyFans. Like, Holly, please do OnlyFans. Like every time I would stream, somebody would be like, Holly, do OnlyFans. I was just like, like every time I would stream.
And this was like a core Pokemon community, right? Like the audience. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. I was just streaming Pokemon. Pokemon Go, I think I was just streaming Pokemon Go at that time. I don't even think I was playing main series games on there. And so eventually, like I said, like I was really hurting for money, and like I'm not going to dismiss that part. It definitely was a money move for sure, 100%. But also I felt like, it had been like 6 months since I did the Team Rocket costume, and the response was still insane. Like people were still like losing their minds about that costume.
Well, your Patreon blew up at that point, right? Like the Patreon started taking off.
Yeah, the Patreon blew up. And also it was just like, it was almost like people now associated me with like this sexy cosplay for some reason. Like it only took one time, and all of a sudden, like that was my whole new persona. So I was like, well, I guess I'm just not going to escape this. I'm the like sexy cosplayer now. So like, and OnlyFans is blowing up. So like, let's see, I need money. OnlyFans is blowing up. People expect me to do sexy cosplay, and they're asking me for it. I should do it. And I'm glad that I did, because I was exactly right. And because the people are still asking me for it. Like every time I upload something on OnlyFans, people are like, yes, more. So it's like, it's going great. It's a success.
No, that's awesome. I'd imagine the amount of revenue based on like kind of I guess time commitment to creating the content itself versus like going out and having to film 4 to 6 hours of Pokemon Go gameplay footage, edit that Pokemon Go gameplay footage for another couple hours, upload it, nurse it on social, do all that stuff. There's a significant time restriction when it comes to that type of produced vlog content.
Yes.
So this was like a totally different style of publishing for you, right? Because you went from like produced video and live stream game to that. What was that kind of change like creatively, and was it satisfying like a creative itch, or was it more of just like doing it because it's keeping the lights on and keeping them on bright as hell?
So it like I said, it started out for money, because if anybody who's listening to this remembers my early days on OnlyFans, I was so uncomfortable, because it's just like what I was telling you about my YouTube channel. Like I had like major self-esteem issues. I didn't believe in myself. I didn't even think anybody would care to look. I didn't think anybody would even want to look. And I had major doubt. I was like, who's going to even care? And so the response again was like, oh my gosh, like people actually really wanted to see. I mean, so, because like when you have major self-esteem issues, like I've been that way since I was a child, because I was bullied so much as a kid. Like kids used to bully me all the time as a kid. Like I used to have really thick glasses. I wear contacts now, and like I'm like pretty skinny, and like like I don't have a whole lot of like curvaceousness, so like people used to pick on me for that. So I was always like, well, I don't fit that, like I'm not like boobalicious like Bella Thorne or whatever, but like let's just try it. So, but again, the response is insane. And so basically it's satisfying on so many levels, because first of all, OnlyFans, and well, not just OnlyFans, but thank you to my OnlyFans subscribers, because you guys don't even realize how much you guys have done for me. Like you guys have given me self-esteem for like once in my life. Okay. Like not just for my artwork, which is my videos, because you guys have done that by subscribing to my channel. So like, but I've always believed in my art ability. But what I didn't believe in is like my body and like my self-esteem, and OnlyFans repaired that for me. Like I used to be so self-conscious about what people thought of me and like how I look. And which is like one of the reasons why I was like always dyeing and straightening my hair, because I always thought like, okay, I got to look like an anime character. Like I need to have dyed straight hair. But like my OnlyFans subscribers are actually the ones who taught me like, no, we like your natural hair. So now I feel like comfortable wearing it. Like that's thanks to them. Like it's just crazy stuff like that. Or like, and so they've given me self-confidence, and they've given me the ability to relax and just enjoy content creation. Because like you said on YouTube, especially with Pokemon Go content, like you need to like upload that video. Like if you got a day one shiny, like if you got Xerneas on the first day that it was shiny, you need to put out that video ASAP, or else no one's going to care in a week. So like I was always sweating, staying up till like 4 a.m., like grinding, trying to edit, trying to publish as fast as possible because people on YouTube are like unforgiving. Like if you upload 2 days late, they're like, I don't even care anymore. So it's exhausting. Yeah, it's exhausting. Like these are human beings trying to run their YouTube channels, and people always forget that and treat them like we're machines. So and they're very unforgiving. So OnlyFans has allowed me to be like, hey, you know what? Like I'm having an off day. I don't feel good, or like maybe I'm sick or something. Maybe my stomach hurts, whatever. I don't feel like making a video today. And I actually have that ability to take the day off and relax and like heal. And I didn't have that ability before OnlyFans because like I told you, I was going like paycheck to paycheck. So like if I didn't post a video, it's like, well, you ain't gonna eat. So it's thank you so much to my OnlyFans subscribers. Like y'all don't even know like how much it's changed my life. Like I can just relax now and like be myself. And like I didn't even realize that I was stifling my creativity before. But I was like, I forgot how much I loved cosplaying because I did. And I can just be artistic and do things that I want to take creative liberties for. And also now I know that I don't have to jump onto YouTube trends and like clickbait and stuff. Like I can just like, I just make YouTube videos now for like a passion project. Like I honestly don't care how many views it gets now.
So but you know, that's an interesting sentiment there that I'll comment on, because I think when kind of the red tape and the politics of YouTube and the grind of YouTube and all these things that would, like you said, stifle the creativity because you're worried about the algorithm or your thumbnail quality or your retention or whatever it may be. Yeah. You have all these worries that it's hard to be the one person show, right? It's hard to be the producer, the director, the camera person, the actor, the editor, the publisher, all that stuff. It's super hard to do all that. And that kind of grind is what burns so many creators out, especially because a lot of the creators are young. They're not used to working crazy hours. And, before they know it, you're working, 18, 20 hours a day to fuel this passion project that's, rewarding only to a certain degree. And you're like, man, is this fun anymore? Or am I just addicted to the grind part of it? So when you're able to find an outlet that can kind of rejuvenate your ability to be creative, right? That's when the real aha moment happens. And then you're able to say like, oh yeah, when I do a YouTube video now, I'm doing it because I'm having fun or I love it. And I think that transparency is what comes across in the videos, because you could go back and watch older Holly videos from, 2017 or 2019, 2020, whatever it may be. But I think your content now, it straight comes across like that because the positive vibe is so strong of, just your general excitement level. And it's not that, oh my God, I got to race to be the first one to get a shiny. And as soon as I catch it, I'm going to run to Starbucks and edit and upload, and, all that stuff goes away. And it's like, okay, yeah, this is just cool. I get to watch 30 packs being ripped right now. And it's like just this like celebration. And it's not because like, oh, the video is going to be a failure if I don't get the shiny or if I don't get the card or whatever, it's going to be a failure. It's like, no, the fun is in the journey. And I think that's what comes across in your content. That's what got me excited to reach out to you, to have you back on the show, because it was like, all right, you're back to form when it comes to the Pokemon Go YouTube content. I'm like, all right, the groove is back. And I thought that was really cool.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, no, for sure. Definitely.
That means so much to me that you noticed all of that. Like, that's exactly what was going on. Yeah.
And it's difficult because we, as creators, we feel the wrath of the communities around us, right? And, Pokemon Go fans are not, they're not scared to like let good, bad, or indifferent, right? And yes, sure. And they're very unforgiving. And when you can kind of like, I ruffle feathers a lot on Twitter, you know what I mean? And it's like, I'm like, just wait, just give it like 3 more days and everyone's going to come around. And people are like, you're crazy. You're still like feeding the trolls. I'm like, no, just trust me on this one. And it's like another day of like hate mail and nastiness. And then day 3 of hate and nastiness, day 4. And it's like, all of a sudden people forget about that and they're like, hey, we're all kind of having an agreement now. We're kind of finding a middle road. And it's like, you got to get through that. So yeah, when you can cut the fat of all that stuff that's attached to it and just kind of be creative like that, it's super cool. And seeing the content that you're posting on social, the cosplay content, it's been great because it's very thematic and relevant to me, because even if I'm not searching for cosplay content, when I see like a Doug Trio thing, it's like it strikes something to me, because it's like, oh, that's relevant to the event in game right now. And it's like, I get that weird, you know, secular kind of thing where it all ties together. And it's like, okay, cool. It's cosplay, it's Pokemon, it's the main series games, it's the event that's happening right now, it's cosplay. It all kind of like ties in. So it's awesome to see you back uploading Pico content on YouTube.
Much.
No, it's been great. And how difficult is it managing this content calendar? Like how often are you like actually publishing? Like you're on all these different platforms. The social itself is a task. So like, how are you managing all these different platforms with all this like diverse content specifically laid out for each of these different platforms?
Well, first of all, just thank you again so much for like, first of all, noticing all of that. Like, again, I have this like weird thing that I think I still need to get through in therapy. That's like, people don't even notice me. So I like to hear you like actually noticing like all this effort that I'm putting in to be like thematic and like tying into the events and all this stuff is like, I'm like, yes, they're getting it. Cause I really worry so much about like, am I coming across right? Or like, are people getting this? But okay, good. You got it. So that means yes. So thank you.
You got it.
But yeah, I think honestly, like you said, like, because it is, all of my cosplays and stuff are tied into the events in Pokemon Go. I'm kind of just like waiting for Pokemon Go to announce events. And then I draw inspiration for my cosplays from those events. Like, I just kind of like look over the event and I'm like, okay, what speaks to me the most? Like, what would be cute to cosplay? And then I just tie it into that. And then from there, I start planning it. Like, basically, as soon as they announce an event, I start planning what my next cosplay is going to be. And then from there, I like mark it on my calendar. Okay, cosplay it this day because the event will be out and it'll be relevant. And I usually always do it on Friday, Saturday, or Sunday. And I tie it in with every community day too. So like if it's community day, then I'll cosplay that Pokemon that weekend. So it's all tied in together. And so like with OnlyFans, like I'll take that same cosplay that I do for social media to tie into the Pokemon Go event. And I will take that to OnlyFans and make it sexier. So I just basically take the cosplays that I do for Twitter and Instagram, and then I sexy ties them on OnlyFans.
Well, that alone is a great content strategy, because you're kind of able to upcycle the content that you're making and you know, use it in multiple ways. That's like the content creator's dream, right? How can I take this singular piece of content and kind of turn it into lots of little pieces of content and hit different audiences with the same content in different ways? And I think that's a cool tie-in that I think you nail, because it's like I look at the cosplays on socials and I'm like, yeah, this is awesome. I want to see more, you know, and it's like, and I think that's kind of like the tie, which makes it all kind of work. And, you know, seeing you in a YouTube video or in a stream, it like humanizes the whole thing. And I think that tied in with like the, you know, like parasocial relationships that we build with like creators and influencers and, you know, people's contents that we consume, especially like in the podcast space. Like I strive to try to connect with someone in a way that makes them feel like they're talking to me or interacting with me, right. Or, you know, I want you to feel like you're in the room hanging out. Like that's part of it. So it really builds this immersive kind of relationship, this parasocial relationship where it's like, yeah, I can never meet this person in, you know, IRL, but I feel like I have this weird connection because I'm able to kind of because Pokemon becomes this like cultural thing that's intertwined into our life, right? It's like so when you're able to like hit on these different areas, you're like, oh, that's like, you know, the different parts of like taste in your mouth. It's like, oh yeah, okay. It's a very complex thing at that point. And I think you've done an awesome job kind of painting that picture and kind of nailing that. So shout out to you for crushing that.
Thank you so much.
No,
and
for
I
sure.
Could say the way that you're doing the podcast, I love it so much. Like I really do feel like we're just like two people in a room, like chit chatting, like just hanging out. Like
that's the way to do it. We got it next big event. You coming to Philly anytime soon? Like,
so unfortunately I haven't been able to travel since lockdown. You know why? Because my cat, unfortunately, like she got sick at the same time as lockdown. Like before lockdown, she was okay, but she's getting older. She's like 16 now. So she got sick during lockdown and now she has diabetes. And I have to give her 2 insulin injections every day, like one in the morning and one at night. And, it's definitely like, you know, I'm a cat mom, so I'm going to take care of my baby. Right. But like to try to get someone to come over every single day and like not only come over in the morning, but also come over at night and like give her injections and play with her and clean the litter box. Like I haven't been able to find anyone who's really willing to do that.
Sure.
And so that's difficult. That's been a life change for me because I didn't have to worry about that medical issue with her prior to lockdown. And then also on top of finding a cat sitter, I almost like feel like I wouldn't forgive myself if like I traveled and then like something happened to her while I was
of course
gone.
No, yeah, you can't even mathematically you can't even put it together.
Yeah,
like,
it's like not even worth it. So like and I love traveling, so that just tells you how much I love my cat. But so basically I can't travel until either A, I find somebody who I really really trust to cat sit, or you know, B, like time goes by and I'm sure, I mean, we're all gonna pass away one day, but it's just death is an inevitable thing of life. So not that I'm trying to rush it. I'm really trying to hang on to every single moment that I have with her, but it's definitely an obstacle to me traveling right now.
No, but anyway, what I was getting at was we'll do this in person. That's the best way to have a real podcast is when you could like sit across the table. That's like, that's when you could really connect on that level that's like you're not screen bound. You know what I mean?
I would love
to
do that.
Yeah, it was this past trip to Seattle was really cool because I got to see a lot of people that I've only seen through screens for years and years and years, you know, and it's like you see them in person, you're like, oh my gosh, you're 3-dimensional. I can,
right?
like, turn you around and like see behind you. It's just like, this is so amazing. That's crazy.
Yeah.
But creatively, the future, what are you hoping? You gonna be doing any like stylistic changes or platform changes, or are you kind of just putting your nose to the grindstone for YouTube for the time being?
I think, you know, I just got off of a break from making YouTube content. So right now my goal is to, like you said, get my nose back to the grindstone and like really get in the rhythm of, you know, film, edit, upload, like not as insane as I was before where I was like staying up until 4 a.m, like, oh my God, I gotta edit. Like now I'm like, I'm doing it for fun, but I also want to get back in the swing of things. So I'm trying to like nose to the grindstone for YouTube. And I'm also going to start streaming Pokemon Scarlet and Violet also on YouTube because like I told you earlier, I always ask my audience, like, where do you guys want me to stream? And like every single time they say YouTube. It's just where the majority of the audience is. Like Twitch is great and everything. Like I didn't have issues with Twitch, but it's just the fact of the matter is that YouTube has better discoverability and it just reaches the general audience more. So you're going to do better numbers on YouTube.
Yeah,
so.
No, that's I agree with that wholeheartedly. And it's interesting because as a podcaster, you know, in the audio format, like we're just now starting to like, you know, bridge into video stuff, but there's YouTube for us has always been this funky platform. It's like, do you put your stuff on YouTube? We're like, yeah, but it's like an audio podcast, and it's like, it'll be funny. People will be like, dude, your video got 30 views. You think you're popular? And I'm like, bro, believe me. It's like, it's all good. I'm not worried about,
start somewhere.
I'm not worried about YouTube views on a podcast with no video. No one's going to stare at a static image for 60 minutes, but now we're doing the video stuff. So we're branching out. So we're excited to start doing all this, and we're going to be on a stream schedule with all the shows going forward. So we're real excited to do all that. But Holly, it's been absolutely awesome to hear from you and talk to you. I'm so glad you were able to come on the show. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. And I'm really glad to hear that you guys are doing more YouTube stuff because, like I told you before, Google owns YouTube. So if you're trying to get in that search algorithm, that's the way to go.
It's the number 2 search engine. It's Google's number 1 and YouTube's number 2. It's the irony of it. And it's like they coexist. They help each other out. So no, it's all good stuff. So of course, everywhere that you can find Holly, I'll put her link tree in the description, but where can people check you out? Where do you think people's first destination should be if they want to check out your content?
Yeah. So, well, first of all, thank you for providing all the links and stuff. Yeah, I mean, you can find everything on my link tree. It's the word link tree, but it's LINKTRE. Well, he'll put the link in there, but all the socials are on that link tree, but you can find me on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, OnlyFans. And I do have a TikTok page as well, but I don't really use it very much. So, but I would say if you want to get in contact with me, the best way to talk to me is over Twitter. And or honestly, just leave me a comment on my YouTube videos because I always read the comments on YouTube as well.
You read the comments? You're brave.
I can't help it. I love feedback. I love it. I love it.
Man, no, I do the same thing on Twitter. It's like, I'm like, all right, the feathers are about to get ruffled and send. And it's just like, here we go. Strap it in. I'm going in. It's so funny. But like I said, links to everywhere you can find Holly will be in the description. Make sure you check her out and follow, all that good stuff on all of the available Holly channels.
Thank you.
Because she's an OG. She's been doing it a long time, and it's always awesome to see people still grinding out the content. So Holly, once again, thank you so much for coming on the show. We appreciate it so much.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having me. And I look forward to that in-person day one day.
You got it. All right, everyone else, keep training, trainers. Thanks so much, and we'll see you next week.